Minasan konnichiwa und willkommen, and welcome to another review. But this time, we're going to be taking a look at actually two different adaptations of Alice in Wonderland, known in Japanese and German as Fushigi no Kuni no Arisu and Alice in Wonderland, respectively. We're actually going to be talking about the 1951 classic from Disney in the 1973 episode of Rankin Bass's Festival of Family Classics. Festival de los Clásicos Familiares. Our story both of those adaptations are based on the popular books by Lewis Carroll, which are Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Alice Through the Looking Glass. Our story begins in the glorious English countryside, where our actual story begins. With Alice, voiced by Catherine Beaumont, is nodding off while her sister reads a book. And her sister is actually voiced by Heather Angel, who would eventually do some work for Peter Pan, which was 2 years later. When Alice sees a white rabbit, voiced by Bill Thompson, Alice becomes curious in terms of following the white rabbit. Yeah, I know there have been some differences between the Disney and Rankin Bass versions, but there are similarities as well. For example, in the Rankin Bass one of the lines Alice says is, "She's always reading that book." I think it was something like that, but we're mainly focusing on the Disney one. After she falls into the hole, she just comes floating down, with her dress acting like a parachute to keep her from falling to her death. Believe me, I've seen those kind of stunts before. And then she comes across a talking door. And that door is obviously locked. And of course, Alice then drinks the drink that says, "Drink me." And then she shrunk into Thumbelina size. But this is Alice in Wonderland, not Thumbelina. There's a difference. But there are some similarities between Alice in Wonderland and Thumbelina. But we're mainly focusing on the former here. And then she actually ate one of the cookies that made her grow larger. And then drank the potion again, which of course she shrinks. Then is streamlined through a current, which is basically like a river. Then Alice comes across all kinds of strange and weird people and objects. Like, for example, she encounters the dodo and many birds, including the parrot and the crow. or kurozu in Japanese. Then she encounters Tweedledee and Tweedledum, both voiced by J. Pat O'Malley. You know Colonel Hottie from the Jungle Book, which I'll talk about in a future video. And of course Tweedledee and Tweedledum told her the story of the Walrus and the Carpenter. Well, when they wanted to eat those oysters, which is actually a common food item. And of course that carpenter found out that the walrus was eating all the oysters to himself, and he got really pissed. And I mean really pissed. And he tried to knock some sense into that animal. And then Alice encounters the Cheshire Cat, voiced by Sterling Holloway, and Jim Cummings in subsequent projects after that. Well, in the Disney film, the one from 1951, he actually has pink and purple stripes, while in the Rankin Bass one, he actually has orange fur. Believe me, I've seen that episode of Festival of Family Classics. And yeah, he was sort of basically confused. He went that way. Who? He did? Who did? The White Rabbit. He did? Did what? What that way? What way? Oh, bother. Can you stand on your hands? Then she encounters the Mad Hatter, the March Hare, and the Dormouse. Well, I don't know who voiced the March Hare, but I know the Mad Hatter was voiced by Ed Wynn, whose son was Keenan Wynn. You know, that warlock from Rankin Bass's Santa Claus is Coming to Town from 1970, but that's for a different video. And the Mad Hatter and the March Hare were celebrating on birthday. And of course, Alice really got confused on what actually went down, including trying to solve a riddle. And I tell ya, it is just really crazy and creative now to come to think about it. Well, you know what I'm talking about. Then after Alice leaves the Mad Hatter and March Hare, she tries to find a path to get home. But of course it was no use. And then the Cheshire Cat came back. And he told her to see the Queen of Hearts, voiced by Verna Felton. You know, Cinderella's fairy godmother from, well, Cinderella, Aunt Sarah from Lady and the Tramp, Flora from Sleeping Beauty, and Wilma Flintstone's mother from the Flintstones. And of course, Alice also encounters a lot of cards. You know, playing cards. Because I know how that kind of stuff happens when you read the story.